We've got a full slate of NFL games here in NFL Week 12. So make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe for more content like what you see in this video, because it's our NFL Week 12 predictions and pick 'em at Utility Sports Plus. Austin does a lot of hard work, not only watching all the games, analyzing all the teams, but also making sure that all of the graphics are set up for this, all the editing, all of that kind of stuff that goes into it behind the scenes. So make sure to show him some love. Let him know down in the comment section how awesome he is. And I think when we're talking about how awesome Austin is, it's a great time to kind of flow into the records this year, Austin. Weird. The last couple of weeks, Austin's been spreading this fake narrative of, oh my gosh, Sheldon's catching up. Well, one of us is in triple digits when it comes to the win mark. And I'm telling you right now, it's not Glass's guy here with only 98 wins. Austin's sitting at 104 and 58. The only thing more elite than that is the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. Austin, how does it feel to be at the top of the game?
Now, I think it's going to be blown out of proportion because this game is being recorded before the Monday night results. Therefore, we don't have that split decision accounted for into this. Very likely, Sheldon could be actually only down one game on this past week.
Yeah, so I dropped 2 games. Austin, of course, trying to hype me up here. There's also a chance I'm down 3 games. And if you guys have been following along here, one of us, again, has over 100 games picked correctly, and it's not me. So if you are putting money down on the money line here, I would make sure to follow Austin, because in my phone, I've got him as Big Money Bags. That's his name in my contact list, because he's a big spender in the gambling department, and he wins every single week. You should see the parlays this guy drills. Austin, let's go forward now and jump into our first game. And we got some Thanksgiving football. I like the little turkey on the graphic there, Austin. We got some good NFC North football in a week where the games, I would say, aren't up to par. This is one of the better ones, I would say. Packers Lions. It's kind of a classic game here. Now, the Packers are 4-6, coming off of a win this past week. The Lions, crazy comeback win themselves against the Chicago Bears. And they've kind of got this NFC North division locked up. The Vikings lose a close one on Sunday Night Football. The Lions push themselves 2.5 games ahead of the second best team in the NFC North. So, Austin, we're going with the Lions here. Pushes them to 9-2 if they do get this win, and really locks up the NFC North for them. How impressed have you been with them this year, and why do they beat the Packers here on Thanksgiving?
I think with the Lions rolling, the Packers really still trying to find their true identity. This is a game that Detroit should win. I think that obviously it's always been synonymous with the Lions losing on Thanksgiving, but hey, I think they're going to flip the script here. This is going to be a win for the Lions. I think they're going to make all of us proud here that do support them every once in a while casually on a Thanksgiving Day game. And it's going to be a great start to the weekend with this one.
Yeah, make sure you guys let us know down in the comment section which game you're looking forward to the most this weekend as we go through it. Let's hop into the next one here now, though, Austin. And again, another kind of classic theme game. We got Washington, Dallas, and the Cowboys. You're just accustomed to seeing them on Thanksgiving, and we're pretty accustomed to seeing them win. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see here this week as well. They're just the better football team. They have 3 more wins than the Commanders this year. They've scored over 300 points on the season. They're 4-0 at home. Obviously have the chance here to go to 5-0 at home. They've been a little bit shakier on the road, but playing in Arlington, they've been really dominant. And that's what I expect to see continue this week on Thanksgiving, Austin. How excited are you for this one here?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a little bit more entertaining. I mean, Sam Howell's provided us with some true fireworks in some of the games that he's been in. One of the top passers in terms of actual yardage in the NFL. He has proven it week in and week out that he can really sling around the football. Dallas is going to have to be very disciplined on the back end, not to give up some of those big plays that they could be susceptible to with Sam Howell at quarterback. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be man-on-man matchup, and they're going to, have a lot on their plate there for the Commanders to try to defend. CeeDee Lamb has been on another level this year, and he's been awesome. I think it's going to be way too much for Washington to handle.
Interesting note here on the Commanders. You talked about Sam Howell and some of his fireworks. The rest of the team's kind of let him down. He's actually been sacked so many times this year, and then also through 11 weeks, they've allowed the most points in the NFL, allowing over 300 points so far in the season. Their defense has not lived up to expectations. Obviously, trade away Montez Sweat, Chase Young. They've made a lot of crazy moves in the last couple of weeks. So you're looking at kind of a different Commanders team. The Cowboys should win. And Austin, you also brought up kind of a full plate. I need to know here, Thanksgiving week. What's your favorite food at Thanksgiving dinner here?
I think there's only one correct answer, and this is going to be an opinion that's not taken well. I think it's honestly stuffing. Stuffing provides an elite pack. Doesn't matter if you do the homemade or even the store bought. All of it smacks, in my opinion.
When it comes to NFL pick'em, I don't even question it. I'm not even a stuffing guy myself, but Austin says it, so I'm slamming my money down on stuffing as the best Thanksgiving food as well. Let's jump forward now into our next one. And 49ers, Seahawks, another divisional game. And this is a fun one here out west, the NFC West. And this game's really important. The 49ers at 7-3, the Seahawks at 6-4. You're looking at a game that could go a long way in deciding who actually wins that division. The Seahawks did lose this past weekend. The 49ers on a 2-game win streak. I think it's pretty safe to bet on the Niners here, even though they have to travel into Lumen Field, Austin. We know how dangerous of a place that is to play. Kind of what's your thoughts on this game? Break down why you picked the Niners. For me, it was all about the defensive line.
Yeah, I think the defensive line has a lot to do with it. Another part of it is the Geno Smith injury that just incurred over the weekend. The status is up in the air currently if he's going to be able to go in this one. Otherwise, it's going to be Drew Lock. And Drew Lock, faced with this amount of pressure, is going to be susceptible to turnovers. And I think that's the ultimate deciding factor. Either you get a Geno Smith that's not healthy or a healthy Drew Lock. Neither of them move the needle for me. Easy for me to take the 49ers.
Yeah, one of the really special things about utility sports here is how great of a community we have. We're recording here on Sunday night, so sometimes news comes out during the week. Make sure to let everyone else know down in the comment section if you see some news. Drop that in there so everyone else can see that. Obviously, that would impact some of our picks throughout the week of games. Let's jump into our next one now, Austin. We see a matchup here, and well, this isn't as great of a game as maybe it was hyped up to be before the season started. Miami heads into New York to take on the Jets. Zach Wilson was finally benched in a game this year. The Jets got manhandled by the Buffalo Bills. Of course, I picked the Jets last week. If you're wondering why I'm down 2 more games than normal, well, it's because I picked the Jets. I'm not making that same mistake here. The Dolphins are going to win this game. They're 7-3 on the year. They've had an elite offense throughout the season. Very, very reliable. Now, they are only 2-3 away from Miami, so this is a little bit of a test for them. But they've scored double the points of the New York Jets this year, and I think that honestly continues. I'm looking at least a double-digit win here. Who knows? With the way that Miami played earlier in the year, scoring 70 points, I almost would say triple digits, but I think that's a little crazy. The only guy capable of triple digits here is Austin. So, Austin, you take it away here. Why are the Dolphins winning this game? And I do want to point out before the year, Austin was saying, by the way, guys, Jets are my favorite team. Austin was saying, oh, Sheldon, your Jets are going to be so great this season. I think he's picked them one time all year, and he's going to say, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers, they didn't pick him week 1. So I want to know what's up here, Austin. Why do you hate the Jets, and what's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, no, I think that when you look at the Miami Dolphins, a lot of fireworks with this offense, and the exact opposite on the other end with the Jets here. It's been a struggle to move the ball with consistency, hitting those third down throws that are necessary on the third longs when the running game isn't necessarily going how it needs to go. Therefore, creating a lot of those third and longs and some opportunities for Zach Wilson to make some plays, which have not happened this year. To me, it's pretty clear and obvious that the Dolphins have that explosion. The Jets have a really good defense. They do. In totality, they're great up front. They have really good secondary. But to me, it's just way too much to overcome this offense going 3 and out so consistently. Therefore, you have to take the Dolphins.
Someone's going to have to clip that and send it to me because Austin has tried to defend Zach Wilson every time I've publicly bashed him. I just need that recorded somewhere so that I can, reference it later. Let's jump into our next game, Austin. We spent way too much time talking about my Jets. And here we are with the Sunday slate, the New Orleans Saints and Atlanta Falcons. We've talked about high leverage games, Austin. The NFC South's right about where we expected it to be. The Panthers at 1-9, the Saints at 500, and everyone else below that, because that's not a good division. Honestly, the teams in this division right now, it's a bloodbath because they're all trying to not be last. And the Panthers said, oh, we'll take that spot. Don't worry. We traded our draft pick away. Austin, Saints, Falcons here. We're both going with Atlanta. I think at home obviously plays a big factor in that. They're 3-2 at home this year, 1-4 on the road. The Falcons are. And the Saints, they've actually played 500 football, both home and away this season. So currently every single team in the NFC South's on a losing streak, whether that's 1 game or 3 games, whatever you want to call it. They haven't been playing great football as of late. Austin, is this kind of like pick the lesser evil, or what's your take on this one here?
Yeah, I think when you look at the Saints Falcons, it's winning the turnover battle. I think is the deciding factor. I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to have to run the ball effectively. I think New Orleans is a little bit more prone to a big turnover at the end of a game potentially. But to me, I'm taking the home team. I'm taking the team that's played pretty well relatively speaking there. It's not an elite game to try to pick, but this does go a long way in trying to decide who's going to be the potential division winner. Therefore, Atlanta's got to bring their A game. New Orleans is probably the more talented team on paper, in my opinion, but to me, Atlanta's going to have the upper hand.
This will be an interesting game for sure. Let's jump into our very next matchup, and it is another divisional game. And that's kind of the headline this week. A lot of divisional games that'll go a long way in deciding who wins or loses divisions. Right now, AFC North, you got the Ravens at 8-3, the Browns at 7-3, the Steelers at 6-4, the Bengals at 5-5. The Bengals, they haven't played great football. Obviously, Joe Burrow out for the remainder of the season. But for me, I'm still betting on Cincinnati because I think this is a real trap game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Going into Cincinnati, you think, okay, look, no Burrow. This is a big win for us. It's kind of set up for the anticipation to be a big letdown. And I think that's what we're going to see here. The Steelers haven't been great this season. I know that they have a winning record, but I don't trust the offense, and I don't trust Kenny Pickett specifically. It's hard for me to week in, week out pick the Steelers, so I'm going with the home team here in division in what appears to me to be a trap game. Austin, you went with the Steelers. What's your confidence level on them in this game?
I think the Bengals are going to be super one-dimensional, trying to have to run the football, and that's going to be the name of the game for them. They're going to have to run it effectively and work out a play action just to have a shot. To me, the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is one of those games where Mike Tomlin is able to develop a phenomenal game plan with a quarterback that's unfamiliar with the starting level role. And to me, that's where you're going to see a world of a difference. Mike Tomlin against younger quarterbacks or inexperienced quarterbacks generally bodes well. That's why I picked the Steelers. I don't love their offense. I don't love, what their team has been so far this year, but I do love the potential turnover differential for the Steelers in their favor.
With Jake Browning coming in this past week against Baltimore in relief of Joe Burrow after his injury, he went 8 of 14 with 68 yards and a touchdown, also ran for 40 yards on the ground. He'll need to be somewhat of a dual threat here and move the chains consistently for them to win. But it's a hard bet to make, but it's one I'm willing to take here, especially when you're down as many games as I am to this guy. You have to take some risks along the way. Let's jump forward now into our next one. And wow, that's interesting, Austin, for all your big talk. Before we got on camera here, guys, Austin's like, I'm going to pick the Texans in this game. What does that say under his name on the graph? It says the Jaguars. That's fascinating. Austin, I'm going to let you take it away, and then I'll put on the finishing touches here for this one.
Yeah, this is not a game that is a shoe-in, because do we remember what happened when the Jags took on the Texans? They got whooped. I'm not a huge believer in the Jags being a premier team in the AFC. That is just the furthest thing from the truth. They are super susceptible to losing some of these types of games. The Texans have played well so far this year. CJ Stroud is coming off one of his worst games as a pro so far, but I think it could be a phenomenal bounce back game. I think Jacksonville generally overlooks Houston for whatever reason. Houston actually owns this matchup, especially as of late between the two. Maybe I'm talking myself out of the Jags pick, but I think at the end of the day, you have to pick the better team here. I think Jacksonville is on paper a better squad, and they were able to kind of find their realm and their flow on offense, against the Tennessee Titans. So therefore, another divisional matchup. They got to come up big, and this is a crucial game.
This is a really big game. Look, the Jaguars 7-3, the Texans 6-4. This does go a long way in deciding the AFC South. Of course, the Tennessee Titans have been out of it since week 1, like I predicted. But there's 5 words I would use to describe the Jacksonville Jaguars in the year 2023. Those 5 words are your favorite team's worst nightmare. Okay, this team is going to step in here. And listen, another few words I would use is home away from home. This team wins on the road. They are currently this season 4-0 on the road. They're going to move to 5-0. H-Town, you guys know I've been riding with you all season long, but I'm sorry, this week's not your week. The Jaguars are going to make you guys look like the little brother in the division once again. Austin's going to reference earlier. I don't care about earlier in the year. It's week 12. Okay. We're not worried about anything that's happened in the past. Jaguars win this game. And in fact, I'm going to say they win by 21 points this week.
All right.
This is my lock of the week. And the game that I am a little less certain on here, the 5-5 Colts limp into this matchup to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, well, at least we could say the Buccaneers played well week 1 and week 2. They're 4-6. I don't think any of us were big believers in Tampa Bay coming into the year. Now, they're not dead in the water. Like I referenced earlier, the NFC South's open. If the Colts do win this week and the Jaguars lose to the Texans, which, by the way, won't happen, but in case it does, they're within a game of the AFC South as well. So this game has big, implications on both the AFC South and the NFC South potentially. We're going with the Colts here in this one, Austin. I think the big thing for them is establishing the run game against Tampa Bay. How do the running backs and the offensive line deal against the Bucs D-line and their linebackers? Austin, how big of a narrative is that in this one?
Yeah, I think that's going to be exactly the focus point when you're actually looking and breaking down this game. That Colts offensive line versus the Bucs front seven here, dealing with some of the blitzes that they can throw at you, some of the different edge rushers that can make a quarterback pay. I look at the Indianapolis Colts as the slight favorite in this one. Gardner Minshew has been a known winner in his career. He's one of the best backups in the entire league, and he is proving why it's so vital to have one of those guys on roster. And I think when you look at the Indianapolis Colts, they're going to have to run the football effectively. They're going to have to get Zach Moss a little bit more involved than the previous week, prior to their bye where he only had 2 rushing yards. This is a big game for them, and one that can really help them catapult into that playoff conversation seriously.
Can I get a hashtag Pick'em Wizard down in the comment section for Austin as you hear his breakdown here on this game? Let's jump into the next one. We look at a matchup here between everyone's, 2 teams that they're excited to watch this week, the 3-8 Giants and the 2-8 Patriots. We get a little bit of a throwback to a couple Super Bowls from the past decade. Unfortunately, there's not good quarterback play on either side right now. There's no Tom Brady. And even, God, dare I say it, Eli Manning. This is not a good game, to be completely honest with you. I'm going with the Patriots. I don't really know why. The Patriots haven't inspired me to pick them this year, other than the fact that they're the Patriots and they have a cool logo, I guess. The Giants, I don't know, dude. I just can't pick them. They're not healthy. They're not good. I just don't like this game, to be completely honest. Austin, you break it down here. Talk us through why you're going with New England over New York here.
Now, once again, it's the lesser of the two evils. I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a major impact in this game like he did last week, and very well could tip the scale, because 2 teams that are struggling mightily, but if there's one that I'm going to count on making some proper adjustments and potentially winning the football game, it's going to be Bill Belichick here. The quarterback situation is a big question mark in terms of what kind of production they can get on a week-to-week basis. Ramondre Stevenson, Ezekiel Elliott are going to have to be huge on the ground to try to counter Saquon Barkley. But to me, even the Patriots on the road have to be, our pick. I think it's not one that we're loving, but it's one that we're going to take.
Yeah, it's like I think Austin summed it up perfectly. Let's jump into the next game. Let us know down below who you think is going to win between Patriots, Giants. And I need you guys to, right now down in the comment section, also type Bon Jovi, because I'm living on a prayer this week. When you're down big, you get to week 12, you're 67% of the way through the season. You don't win pick'em by picking the Titans here if you're in my shoes, okay? Part of the only reason I'm close this season is I have a rule that I'm not picking Tennessee in basically any single game. So far, I would be 7-3 in those picks. Shout out to me for that. And well, I'm riding with the 1-9 Panthers. Do I feel good about it? No. Frank Reich is probably going to get fired after this game because this is how bad of a pick this is. Listen, here's the thing. With how bad the Panthers have been, the Titans haven't really been better. They've scored 5 more points than them this year, and a lot of those came in a miraculous Will Levis debut game. I'm not a big believer in this Titans team, and I think that honestly the Panthers, with some of the ups and downs from Bryce Young his rookie season, I think we can see some positives as we get deeper and deeper and deeper into it. Plus, there's no reason for this team to tank. The coach is playing or is fighting for his job. The team is playing for their jobs. And then you also look at the fact that the organization doesn't have their own first round pick this year. They need to win badly just given all of the circumstances around them. I'm going with Carolina here in Tennessee. It's a bold pick. It's a risky pick. Again, if I was putting real money down on this, I'd probably think a little bit harder, but I'm trying to win pick'em this year for the first time in my career. Austin, let them know why you're the pick'em champion.
Yeah, this doesn't make me a pick'em champion by once again taking the Tennessee Titans. It has not proven to be a good selection in any of the pick'em weeks, basically. But looking at this matchup, you have the Titans at home against another really terrible team in Carolina. Some positives to take away from Tennessee is, I guess, Will Levis isn't as bad as people thought he might be in his first year, but also he hasn't been as good as people had thought after the first week he had started. So therefore, looking at that, Tennessee's got to have a good game on the ground. Derrick Henry's frustrated. Maybe he's going to take that all out on the Panthers and run for about $175. That would be the 24-year-old version of Derrick Henry, not at his current state. Looks slower, just not that same running back he once was. Now, a lot of Titans fans are going to be coming to his defense right now in the comments section. Hold up. I still think he's got some juice left, and I think they're going to win this football game because of him.
Very interesting take. We'll have to see, obviously, a lot of draft implications from this game, of course, for both sides here. Let's jump now into our next one, and this is an interesting game here as well. The Los Angeles Rams skirt in here at 4-6, and the Cardinals at 2-9. Listen, Kyler Murray threw his first touchdown of the season this past week, and I think that there's going to be more of that coming here from the Arizona Cardinals. They did lose 21-16 to the Texans. I would say they didn't look that great. Kyler Murray did complete 67% of his passes, threw an interception in there. Greg Dortch was the leading receiver for them, about 76 yards, I believe. There's not a lot to believe in here in Arizona, but for me, you guys know through my picks, I do believe in the home team in divisional games. The Cardinals have that going for them here. The Rams have to travel into Arizona. And I think that with Kyler Murray, there's just a little bit more electricity. There's a little bit more belief that this team can go out and compete and win games. I do think this is going to be a one-score game. Now, I don't feel like I'm in love with the Cardinals pick here. That's why I'm Bon Jovi this week. I'm living on a prayer. I picked the 1-9 Panthers. I'm going with the 2-9 Cardinals. I need them to, kind of pick me up here. If they let me down, I'm out of it this year and pick them. So this is what you guys need to remember during this week is when you're watching, if the Cardinals and Panthers lose, you guys got to be wondering how I'm feeling internally. Okay. Austin, you're going with the Rams here. Break down why they're the better team and why they win this one on the road.
Yeah, they're not a better team by much. This team is actually still atrocious. Pick up the narrow victory based on the missed field goal against Seattle last week. I don't feel great about this in any capacity, but I don't necessarily believe in the Cardinals. I think they're talent deficient. I think they're probably potentially going to lose the turnover battle in this one. There's just not a lot to be super pumped about in this game in general, but I'm just going to take the Rams on the road here, under the assumption that Sean McVay is the better head coach. And I think he has an opportunity to get his team back to 500 just because of how smart of a coach he is and his coaching resume as a whole. I think, he gets them on the right track here and a little bit closer to sniffing that 500 mark.
Yeah, definitely going to be an interesting one to watch. And here we are, another divisional game. Like I said, this is going to be the week of divisional matchups. And well, this one's a little lopsided. The 7-2 Chiefs head into Vegas to take on the 5-6 Raiders. And the Chiefs just feel like the right pick here. The Chiefs have historically done, I would say, relatively well against the Raiders in recent memory. Of course, having Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce does go a long way. In that regard, they've just been really great again this season. I think the Chiefs have been an awesome surprise. Steve Spagnuolo has that defense playing maybe at the best we've seen during the Patrick Mahomes era. And I think the Chiefs are a team that obviously, again, we're recording Sunday night, so they have their Monday night game ahead of them. Who knows how that game goes? Obviously, injuries could really shake up this pick, but Austin, the Chiefs just feel safe here, right?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are a really good pick, especially against divisional opponents. They've been phenomenal. And when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, from year over year, they've actually had the best decrease in terms of points allowed on a per game basis. So a huge improvement defensively for them. A lot has to do with their linebacking play, how elite they've been. Back half has been really good as well. To me, it's a phenomenal pick here. A lot of people are loving the Raiders. It's a fun, sexy, flashy pick, but to me, you have to stay consistent and stay with the course.
Yeah, they've definitely been playing better. The Raiders have been, but just not up to the Chiefs level. I think everyone would likely agree with that. Let's jump into our next one here, Austin. And we've got the Cleveland Browns heading into Denver to take on the Broncos. And hey, don't look now. The Broncos are up to 500. They're on a 4-game win streak right now, arguably the hottest team in the NFL currently. They got a really big win Sunday night against the Minnesota Vikings, and they have a shot here to move up above 500 and really put themselves in the thick of a playoff race, despite what was such a terrible start for Sean Payton and the Broncos this season. And because of that, I'm riding with them. Obviously, the Deshaun Watson injury bug kind of is a big reason why. But listen, the Browns, they've been playing really good football as a team as well. They did just sign Joe Flacco to their practice squad today, Austin. First of all, are we going to see Flacco this year? That's the first thing I want to know from you. And then secondly, are the Browns, a really legit team even without Watson?
I think when you look at defensively, what they can throw at you, phenomenal, elite edge rushers, guys that can get after the quarterback, that secondary is good, the linebacking unit's good. All three levels of that defense are covered by some phenomenal players that seem to be at the right place at the right time. Denver has been a little bit lucky in terms of their winning streak here. Now, they've made some plays, a lot of credit to them, but I don't think they're going to generate the amount of turnovers that they have over the last 3 games. Against Minnesota, they had 3. In the Buffalo game, I think they had 3. This is a Denver team that has made some plays defensively. I don't know if we're going to see that, but they've been trash against the run, to say the least. I mean, they gave up 80 yards to Alexander Madison. That's no bueno. I mean, if you do that, you might as well go home. Credit to them, they won that game because they won the turnover battle. If that's the case here, maybe I will eat my words. Once again, Cleveland's not offensively, they're going to be a train wreck. Don't get me wrong. But I think at the end of the day, I believe in that defense, and I believe that whoever's starting for Cleveland, it's probably going to be DTR, is going to be able to get the job done just enough to keep them in this football game.
Yeah, an interesting note here, when the Browns 13-10 win over the Steelers this most recent week, they actually had DTR throw the ball 43 times. He also had 3 carries, only threw for 165 yards, which is about, a little bit less than 4 yards per attempt. And he did throw an interception. So if the Broncos are trying to look, and continue that kind of magic streak you've been referencing, Austin, maybe this is the week to do it. That's kind of why I'm going with them. I just think this is kind of a toss up, because it's like, what confidence do you have in either side at this point of the season, especially because of the offensive side of the football. It's going to be an interesting matchup, and one that I think is going to be a fun one to monitor this week. As we jump into our next game here now, we look at a battle here between the Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles. And Austin, every time we expect the Bills to just kind of surmount another win, kind of pile on top and start to go on a winning streak, they either have a really tough opponent or a really bad opponent that they drop a game to. Here's that tough opponent, the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously a Monday night game for them as well. We're again recording prior to that. But the Eagles at 8-1 at this point. Who knows how that game against the Chiefs will go? But obviously the Eagles are a great team. Jalen Hurts has been fantastic yet again this season. They've got a really good offensive line. We know how dominant their defensive trench is. They've just got a lot of talent all over the football field. Howie Roseman's done a great job building that team, and it just kind of seems like an uphill battle for Buffalo, which most of the season has been for them. What's your thoughts on this one?
I think when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, sheer dominance across the board has been, the big identity for them. But I look at Buffalo as an opportunity here to try to redeem themselves on the upswing. But to me, I just don't see it. I think they're going to force Josh Allen into 2 turnovers or more in this one. Now, that's a bold proclamation, but it wouldn't be completely off kilter for what his career averages have been. I think when you have so much pressure that Philadelphia can bring on just even bringing 4 guys, it is a true indicator that this could be a long day for Josh Allen in a season where they've had a ton of trouble, with the shift in offensive coordinators to Joe Brady. This is a big one.
The Bills are just 1-2 in the month of November. So a win this month, again here, would really kind of tie them closer to the Miami Dolphins. If they do lose this game, though, there's potential fallout there, not only in terms of the divisional race, but also some of those wild card positions, which we've referenced throughout this video as well. Let's jump into our next one here, and it's Sunday Night Football. The Baltimore Ravens head into LA to take on the Chargers at SoFi Stadium in Austin. The Ravens are just the Baltimore Ravens, 8-3. They got a nice win on Thursday Night Football, which is a big reason why I'm picking them in this one. When you play a Thursday night game, you get a couple extra days to prepare for your next matchup, a couple extra days of rest as well to go in there. And I think they're going to be really well rested. I think they're going to be really well positioned to knock off the Los Angeles Chargers here. even on the road at 8-3, I think they have a real shot to move to 9-3, take a real stronghold of that AFC North division, which they need to do at this point, given some of the injuries to the other quarterbacks and other, teams in their division. They need to go out and take care of business. I expect them to do that. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, I think when you look at this matchup, it's more actually about the LA Chargers and their struggles that they've had so far. Quentin Johnston, maybe this is a different conversation had Quentin Johnston caught that ball, but man, have they just struggled to piece together wins. A lot of people are trolling Justin Herbert. I just don't think it's the right criticism. This defense has struggled. This offense has struggled to find true rhythm. And a lot of it has to do with Quentin Johnston, who I had a lot of concerns about going into the draft. People were clowning me. He's 6'4", elite route runner. How has it panned out so far? I just have to ask that because I was not a believer in him as a receiver. And now, thankfully, I am not one of those guys that fell for the fool's gold in what he was.
I think my favorite thing about, this series we do here is, kind of monitoring Austin's progression throughout the year and how dominant he is typically in pick'em. If you want to see sheer dominance, check out this guy's wide receiver draft board. Oh my gosh. This guy, I'm telling you, like years ago, he was telling me, obviously I'm the casual guy here, glasses dude. But he's like, dude, this Terry McLaurin guy is going to absolutely take the NFL by storm. And I'm like, okay, well, he's like a 3rd round pick is what I had seen projected, whatever. Yeah. And Terry McLaurin happens to be Terry McLaurin now. And I'm telling you, it's not just Terry. It's like literally every year, every single top receiver, whatever round they're taking in, he's like, yeah, that guy's going to be elite. And sure enough, he told me Stephon Diggs was going to be fantastic when the Minnesota Vikings took him. I said, yeah, okay, whatever. Maryland kid, sure thing. No, Austin knows ball when it comes to wide receivers. So Quentin Johnston, if you're watching, I'm sorry to tell you, but your days are numbered here in the NFL. Let's jump into our next game now. Monday night, I'm fired up. Austin's got me all juiced, and this is the exact game the schedule makers knew we needed for Week 12. The Chicago Bears on prime time. Do we get them enough on prime time? This is just the game I live for. Watching Chicago take on the Pastronaut, Josh Dobbs, and the turnover-prone Vikings here. Vikings win this game, Austin. You were a little skeptical of them off camera, but you did settle on them for your pick here. Kind of what's your thoughts on this team? Is Josh Dobbs going to be the long-term answer? What's the Kirk Cousins situation long-term look like? And why do the Vikings win this one here?
I think when you look at this individual matchup, it's not a shoe-in once again where you can say it's the Minnesota Vikings. I think Chicago provided enough punch offensively to really scare the Detroit Lions, because had they beat the Lions, I think this might have been a potential change in my decision. But once again, the fact of the matter is they collapse at the end of the game. Detroit comes out with the victory, but Chicago, they look pretty poised. Justin Fields, I think, is going to have a really good game in this one, but the Vikings have enough athleticism in their linebacking unit to potentially, hang on there and try to contain him. But I think it very well could be an 80-yard rushing performance for Fields. Well, once again, that's going to come with probably about 165, 175 passing yards. But at the end of the day, I think the Vikings are going to take this. They're at home. It's tough to play at the bank as an opposing team, and therefore you want to stick with the Pastronaut.
Yeah, the big thing here for the Bears is the rushing game. They have the best running back here wearing number 1 in this one, Justin Fields. It's always late season Fields where he, the offensive coordinator learns, oh yeah, we might as well have our most athletic guy run the football. That's exactly what he's going to do. And this is going to be a challenge here for Minnesota, who they've got their own bevy of issues. They've, kind of survived some of these recent games in 1-score games. This is going to be a toss-up. And if it comes down to the final possession, the Bears have it. We'll see how they contain against Fields on the ground. That's going to be a big question, but Vikings at 6-5, Bears at 3-8. I don't think the records really truly indicate how, much parity there is between these two teams at this point of the season. Hopefully you guys did enjoy our pick'em this week. It's been a lot of fun. Remember, we got Thanksgiving this week. Make sure you guys enjoy some of that great stuffing like Austin talked about, to have some great Thanksgiving food, spend some time with loved ones. Also, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel here if you had fun. Obviously, we keep it light here over on this side, so if I enraged you, that's super sweet as well. Thanks again so much for watching. We'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports Plus video.